Domesticated about 8,000 years ago. Omnivores, social and intelligent, producing eggs. Quickly reproduce when abundance of food, source of meat, and not considered man's best friend. That's messed up. Come on, humanity, do better. I don't know what I'd do without my chicken nuggies. They can also hinder rat population, which is obviously very dangerous to us humans. And there's probably like an unlimited amount to add to this. They're literally free alarm clocks as well. Okay. They might actually have the intelligence of a rock, but... Oh, and also, you don't typically eat your best friends. I mean, it depends on how desperate, yes. A much better example of a true man's best friend. Horses, after being instrumental for centuries in warfare and travel, hearing that a dog is a man's best friend. I think the only thing that stopped horses from being a man's best friend is it's hard for just like the average human being to keep a horse. Have you seen how big those things can get? But you know, now that I'm mentioning it, it's kind of surprising we don't see more mini horses just running around everywhere. By the way, if you want to be my best friend, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Always gotta ask every once in a while just to make sure everyone's checking. It's always like an additional 500 to 1,000 new people that just subscribe when I just ask them. Like, damn, a lot of people be forgetting. I forget, to be honest. Speaking of things, though, that are no longer useful in warfare, hard to swallow pills. Battleships have been outdated since the first aircraft carrier. No matter how big or armored a ship is, the 14-inch guns can't save it from torpedo bombs or cruise missiles. It's not World War I anymore. Aircraft carriers are all the rage. And I mean, have you seen them? They're literally giant floating cities in the ocean. You can hold up to like 4,000 or 5,000 men, if I remember correctly. Well, actually, sometimes almost 7,000. That's crazy. I think the problem is for aircraft carriers, they just don't look as cool as battleships. And it's also cool that battleships are like the #1, like mostly naval weapon. We see aircraft carriers rely on planes. And it was just so epic to watch as all the countries around the world fought to try to build the biggest battleships of all time. But yeah, you'll notice that no one in today's day and age, 2025, really focuses on battleships. It's basically just a race for aircraft carriers, that or nuclear subs. Everyone forgets how often they saved invasion troops' butts in the Pacific, Med, and mainland Europe during World War II. True, they are giant floating artilleries. That's not really right. Aircraft carriers were important from their introduction, but it's not until World War II that aircraft technology and carrier design had matured to the point where they fully replaced the battleships rather than supplementing them. Camo is obsolete because of infrared. Boots are obsolete because of trucks. Trucks are obsolete because of IEDs. Tanks are obsolete because of drones. Soldiers are obsolete because of furry. Just because something has a weakness doesn't make it its job obsolete. Scissors have been outdated since the dawn of time because it gets beaten by rock. I guess what people are saying is not fair to call the battleships obsolete. Maybe that, you know, aircraft carriers are more preferred nowadays. I mean, that's a little easier to say. Could you please shut up about colonies for 5 minutes? Meanwhile, all the German people. So famously, this first leader of Germany, Bismarck, he didn't want to start a colonial empire. However, his people that he ruled over, they definitely did. I'm sure it was like a thing of prestige that they all wanted. He led the German Empire during a time where this was all the rage. All the Europeans had getaway vacations around the world. This also coincides quite nicely with the Berlin Conference, where the Europeans completely carved up Africa. And yes, Germany got quite a bit of that as well. Bismarck was against it though, given Germany's vulnerable geopolitical position in Europe. That's so funny because he was absolutely right. Obviously, Germany would go on to lose World War I and then also lose all their overseas colonies. People always tend to focus on the territory they lost in Europe, but there was way more than just that. In fact, by land area, they lost way more outside of the continent of Europe. These were massive chunks of Africa, and not to mention also Papua New Guinea. No wonder they were so mad and they had to start up a second World War. Wait, maybe I shouldn't try to justify that for them. In Bismarck's opinion, engaging in colonialism wouldn't be beneficial to Germany and would instead weaken it, as it couldn't focus on improving its relations with European neighbors. I was gonna say it would have been nice to see Bismarck somehow still be in charge of Germany by the time World War I started, but he was already 83 years old. I don't think he was gonna make it to 100. Maybe he would have never let World War I happen in the first place, who knows. In economic terms, colonies were nothing more but drains most of the time on certain empires. Germany already had a colony. It was named Greater Poland. The Japanese, upon learning that one of their countrymen was on the Titanic. Also the Japanese, when learning he followed evacuation procedures and survived. Oh no, bro, what are you doing? He's cooked. Yes, believe it or not, there was one Japanese male on the Titanic, and that is the key word. He was a male, and he evacuated. You weren't supposed to do that, buddy. He must have had absolutely insane survivor skills, especially because his home country didn't make him feel any better about it. And it wasn't just the Japanese public that was criticizing him, it was also the press and also his own government. He ended up surviving all the way till 1939, right before World War II, but he obviously died thinking that he brought shame upon his family. Damn, that sucks. Basically, there was just a lifeboat that had 2 empty spaces. One man joined in, and he just decided to also follow suit. Them pre-living kamikaze fighters. But, I mean, we can all say, at least this was absolute peak dad lore, because he ended up having 4 kids. Nani? What do you mean they followed evacuation protocol? How dare they live? I'm just glad he didn't commit seppuku. It's Spain in the 16th century. I can't stand those Muslim Moors living in my kingdom. I'll take a boat and explore the other side of the world just to get rid of them. Salam alaikum, salam alaikum. Why is bro so angry? And here he goes. Wow, he went all the way to the Philippines? What? After 1 year of travel. What the hell is this? Salam alaikum, salam alaikum. That must have been absolutely mind-blowing. To be on a boat for 1 year because you wanted to escape the Muslim Moors, you literally go like on the exact opposite side of the planet, and yet they're saying the same greetings in Muslim as well back in Iberia. I mean, like with a slightly different pronunciation, I'm sure, and accent. This is really a testament to how far Islam also traveled, not just Christianity. Obviously starting in the Arabian Peninsula, but spreading northwest, east, south. To this day, there's lots in Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, and of course, the southern part of the Philippines. The Spanish called Muslim people living in Spain the Moros. But when they discovered and started to conquer the Philippines, they encountered several peoples that turned out to be Muslim and whom they called the Moros also. Here's a weird fact. The Spanish actually cooked up a plan to invade China with an army of conquistadors, native Filipinos, Incas, and Aztecs. They just did that to cuck the Ottomans too. They were not a fan of Islam, if that wasn't obvious. The Spanish and Moors are natural enemies, like the Spanish and Basques, and the Spanish and Catalans, and the Spanish and other Spanish. I mean, literally just look at the linguistic map of Spain even to this day. Now, this doesn't, you don't even have to dive into their history, but it actually shouldn't be surprising that there's a lot of people from this area of Europe that don't like, well, a whole lot of other people that were there momentarily. I mean, that could date back all the way to the Romans too. The Geneva Conventions be like, so there's a rule stating that we should not oof medics. So one of our guys will pretend to be injured and call out for help in English. When the medics arrive, we'll oof all of them. Imperial Japan, oh man, I'm not surprised. The Geneva Conventions, they're more like guidelines, am I right? Does this surprise anybody? It doesn't me. And if you've done any sort of studying of the Japanese Empire, you shouldn't be surprised either. They were gonna do whatever it took to get that dub. Part of it too is just because they knew they had like a massive disadvantage. I mean, they were this like eastern country that had only recently industrialized, became a little empire. They knew they couldn't compete with the US. For them to have any chance to even come close to defeating us, they were gonna have to play dirty. And playing dirty is exactly what they did. I mean, they were talking about landing a submarine full of the Black Plague in San Diego. Like, bro, can y'all calm down? Imperial Japan saw it as the Geneva checklist. Remember that the Canadians kind of caused this too. Japan and Canada kind of have a lot in common when it comes to war crimes. Competitive war crime simulator. LMAO, these guys wear helmets with bright red crosses on them. Talk about an easy target. Don't forget about after being nuked twice, there was a war minister that said, let's just let the whole country go down. Like, let's all become an actual sun. Dear USA, we declare war on you. Thanks, Thailand. Meanwhile, the Thai ambassadors to the USA be like, yeah, we're just gonna not listen to that. It's the last thing Thailand needed in that moment. Everyone forgets about Thailand being in the Axis momentarily. Thailand, a country that's done pretty amazingly in terms of PR to the rest of the world. Everyone loves traveling to Bangkok. However, is it really fair to say that? They're kind of given this interesting pass like Finland. There's a couple of Axis members that don't get blamed too hard. That is Finland and probably Thailand, but that's just because everyone forgets about Thailand. Japan basically forced them to join the Axis, or else they were going to get oofed pretty much like everyone else around them, which maybe is not an excuse for some people. That's not a good enough excuse. At least for Finland, they were already in the middle of fighting the Soviets. They just saw the guy down here also join in with them. Thailand did this though in return for receiving territory from British and French colonies in Indochina. Oh, they maybe wanted a piece of Myanmar and French Indochina like Cambodia and Laos. Thanks to the Free Thai movement and the lack of formal declaration of war, the US considered Thailand an occupied territory rather than an enemy. And this was extremely important when considering first world countries. I was amazed when I found this out. Remember, first, second, third world, all those phrases literally just have to do with the Cold War. That's it. It's not necessarily an economic term. In blue are all those first world countries, or what's considered to be first world. And this is actually after some decades too into the Cold War. Thailand like immediately started in the first world, or allied to the USA. So I gotta think, without this happening, I mean, who knows what happens to Thailand after World War II, during the Cold War, what they would even be like right now. India detonating 5 nukes. And here's Pakistan doing the same 1 week later exactly. And this was in the 1990s. To think the world might have ended after the Soviets already collapsed. And also it wouldn't even have had anything to do with the USA at the same time. What a twist that would have been. And also keep in mind, this was during a time where the world was pretty happy. The Cold War had ended, everyone was getting rich, the West had won. Now just imagine nuclear apocalypse and World War III still happen, but because of India and Pakistan, which are results of the Cold War. You have to admit that. Still kind of the USSR and USA's fault. India did this particularly from threats from China and Pakistan. Briefly forgot which subreddit this was and thought the current conflict suddenly escalated. I mean, what do you mean? This has been going on for a minute now. This subcontinent isn't big enough for the two of us. India and Pakistan have literally just been staring at each other, waiting to duel it out for decades now. I hope they don't actually do that. Please just keep staring at each other. Please. Hitler trying to make sense of the Costa Rican declaration of war when they don't even have a standing army. Okay, this is hilarious. It is funny to imagine that this is what the skinny mustache man that led Germany at the time looked like. And at least one of the alternative universes out there, he probably did do this. However, I think at the time, you know, he had kind of had his hands full. He probably just kind of chuckled. Which who knows, this guy might be chuckling here too. Keep in mind, this makes it even better. This wasn't the first time Costa Rica declared war on Germany. They did it the first time in 1917. So also, it wasn't even like it was at the end of the war. You know how everyone joined in against the Axis at the end of World War II, like in 1945? Now this is 1941. We still had 4 more years to go. Imagine getting declared war on twice by this small Central American nation and losing, taking 2 L's. Germany, bro, come on. Turns out it might have actually just been a opportunity to seize lands or property belonging to German communities. Not really surprised to hear that. Yeah, this is a good point. I was thinking that too. Even funnier when Poland declared war on Japan and they went no. Surprised Germany didn't say no. Big ol' thanks to my patrons over at Patreon. Go out here calling bro a history expert. Tambre, Drew's Argentinian Trust Fund, NordTyrol, Nolan, Miglu the Goat, LuxembourgLover, KirinoIsBestGirl, KingBearHaze, Fredrik Tibblin, DOOCHBAGGINS, Pavlik, Carmel Saida, AlexandertheTerrible. If you'd like your name here, check out that link in the description down below to patreon.com.